All right, you degenerates, welcome back to the deep dive. You know, we gotta rip the goddamn lid off this blockchain shit. See what makes this motherfucker tick. And I know what you're thinking. Blockchain, that shit's complicated as fuck. And you're not wrong. It's like trying to shove a square peg through a goddamn round hole trying to learn about this shit on your own. But fear not, you beautiful bastards, because we've got a blockchain wizard here today. They're gonna break it all down in a way that even a drunken monkey could understand. So let's cut the crap. Get straight to the goddamn point. What the fuck is a blockchain? Explain it like you're talking to a 5-year-old who just snorted a line of pixie sticks.
Okay, imagine a giant spreadsheet. It keeps track of every transaction ever made. Except this spreadsheet isn't stored in one place. It's spread out across a whole network of computers, like a digital hive mind.
A hive mind, huh?
Yeah. This spreadsheet is made up of blocks, which are like pages in the spreadsheet. And each block is linked to the one before it using cryptography.
Ah, cryptography, my favorite.
It's some pretty crazy math voodoo, but basically, once a block is added to the chain, it's basically set in stone. You can't change it or delete it without everyone in the network knowing about it. It's like a goddamn digital time capsule, preserving every transaction for eternity.
Hold on. So you're telling me that every time some dipshit buys a goddamn Bitcoin, it's recorded on this massive digital spreadsheet that everyone can see?
Pretty much. And because it's spread out across so many computers, it's virtually impossible to hack or manipulate. It's like trying to fight a hydra. You cut off one head and 2 more grow back.
Jesus. Okay, so this blockchain thing, it's basically like a digital fortress for information.
Exactly. It's secure, transparent, and tamper-proof.
But hold the fuck up. We've got public, private, hybrid, side chains, consortium, blockchains. It's like trying to pick a goddamn flavor at a Baskin-Robbins with 31 different types of bullshit. Can we break down these blockchain flavors? Tell me why the fuck I should give a shit.
All right, let's start with public blockchains. These are the wild west of the blockchain world. Anyone can join, anyone can participate. Everything is out in the open. Think Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's like a giant public park where everyone can come and hang out.
A public park, all right.
Then you've got private blockchains. These are more like a gated community. They're permissioned, meaning you need an invite to get in, and they're usually controlled by a single organization. Think a company using blockchain to manage its supply chain or track its inventory.
Because a private's more like exclusive club kind of shit.
Yeah, something like that. Then there's hybrid blockchains. They try to combine the best of both worlds, offering a mix of public and private features. It's like having a public park with a VIP section for those who want a little more privacy.
VIP, very important. Dot pricks.
Ah, sure. Then we have sidechains. Sidechains are like little offshoots of the main blockchain. They're separate but connected, allowing for more specialized applications. Think of it like a side street branching off the main road. And finally, we've got consortium blockchains, which are governed by a group of organizations. It's like a bunch of companies teaming up to build a shared blockchain infrastructure. Think of it like a joint venture between a bunch of corporations.
Okay, so basically there's a blockchain flavor for every goddamn occasion. It's like a blockchain buffet and I'm ready to stuff my face. But what the hell can you actually do with this shit?
Well, the applications are pretty much limitless, but let's start with the one everyone's heard of, cryptocurrency.
Ah, yes, crypto. The digital gold rush that's either going to make you a millionaire or leave you eating ramen noodles for the rest of your life.
Right. Blockchain is the technology that makes most cryptocurrencies possible. It allows for secure, transparent, and decentralized transactions without the need for those blood-sucking banks.
So instead of trusting some shady-ass bank with my hard-earned cash, I can just send it directly to someone else using crypto. No middleman, no bullshit fees. Just pure digital money flowing from one wallet to another.
Exactly. It's like cutting out the parasitic middleman, taking control of your own financial destiny.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
But hold on, rewind that shit for a second. How the hell did we get from clunky old banks to this magical internet money? Give me the Spark Notes version of how crypto came to be.
Well, the first cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, was created by a mysterious asshole. Or maybe a group of assholes. They went by the name Satoshi Nakamoto. No one knows who this motherfucker is. But they basically dropped this bomb on the world back in 2008 and disappeared like a fart in the wind.
Classic.
Bitcoin was a revolutionary idea. because it solved a problem that had plagued digital currencies for years, the double spending problem.
Double spending, you mean like buying a lap dance with Bitcoin and then magically using the same Bitcoin to buy another lap dance?
Exactly. Before Bitcoin, it was tricky to prevent people from copying digital currency and spending it multiple times. It's like making photocopies of a $20 bill and trying to pass them off as the real deal.
Makes sense.
But with Bitcoin, each transaction is recorded on the blockchain. It makes it impossible to duplicate. It's like each Bitcoin has a unique serial number that can only be used once.
So blockchain is basically a digital lie detector for money.
That's fucking genius. But hold on. Didn't I hear about some shady-ass criminals using Bitcoin on that Silk Road website to buy drugs and other fucked up shit? Doesn't that kind of blow a hole in this whole secure and transparent thing?
Yeah, the Silk Road was a wild time. It was an online black market. People bought and sold all sorts of illegal crap using Bitcoin. But here's the thing. Even though transactions on the blockchain can be pseudonymous, meaning they're not directly linked to your real identity, they're still traceable.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The feds eventually shut down Silk Road and tracked down some of those Bitcoin transactions, proving that even criminals can't hide from the all-seeing eye of the blockchain.
It's like a digital fingerprint. Even if you try to hide your identity, the blockchain will eventually rat you out.
Exactly. It's like leaving your DNA at a crime scene. You might think you're being sneaky, but the evidence is there for anyone with the right tools to find. Damn. This blockchain thing is getting more interesting by the minute. It's like a digital detective novel with a twist ending we never saw coming. All right, so we've covered crypto, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Right? What other mind-blowing shit can we do with this blockchain voodoo? I'm ready to go deeper down the rabbit hole.
Well, let's talk about smart contracts. These are self-executing contracts. They automatically enforce the terms of an agreement without the need for any greasy middleman.
So, like, if I bet my buddy $100 that the Jets will win the Super Bowl, and they somehow manage to pull off that miracle, the blockchain will automatically transfer the money to my account without us having to lift a finger. No more awkward IOUs or chasing down deadbeat friends.
You got it. Smart contracts can revolutionize everything from supply chain management to real estate transactions, cutting out all the lawyers, brokers, and other assorted bloodsuckers who love to skim their cut off the top.
Okay, now we're talking. This blockchain thing is starting to sound like some futuristic shit, straight out of a Philip K. Dick novel. But let's be real for a second. What's the catch? There's got to be some downside to all this, right?
Of course. Like any new technology, smart contracts have their own set of challenges and limitations. For example, there are concerns about the legal status of these contracts. Since they operate in a digital realm that's still largely unregulated, and there's always the potential for bugs in the code. Remember that time a smart contract bug led to millions of dollars being stolen from that DAO? That shit wasn't pretty.
Yeah, I vaguely remember hearing about that. So it's not all sunshine and roses in the world of smart contracts.
Definitely not. It's still early days, and there are kinks to work out, but the potential is there. And I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
All right, that's enough deep thinking for now. My brain is starting to feel like a scrambled egg. Let's move on to something a little lighter. What other industries are getting their grubby little hands on blockchain?
Well, the financial services industry is a big one. Banks are starting to explore using blockchain to streamline their back office operations, reduce costs, and maybe even create some new products and services.
Wait, those stuffy old banks? The ones that charge you an arm and a leg for every goddamn transaction? They're embracing a decentralized system. That's like watching a bunch of dinosaurs trying to learn how to use a smartphone.
I know, right? It's kind of ironic. But they're starting to realize that blockchain can save them a shitload of money and make their operations more efficient. Plus, they don't want to get left behind in the dust, while the rest of the world embraces this new technology.
Well, if those dinosaurs are jumping on the blockchain train, it must be going somewhere interesting. What else you got for us?
Well, the gaming industry is also starting to experiment with blockchain, especially in the world of blockchain-based games.
Oh, hell yeah. Finally, something that actually sounds fun. Tell me more about these blockchain games. Are we talking about digital casinos or some next-level shit?
Think about it this way. In traditional games, you spend real money to buy in-game items, right? But those items are ultimately owned and controlled by the game developers. You're basically renting those digital assets.
Renting.
Yeah. Blockchain games change that. By giving players true ownership of their in-game items, these items are represented by unique tokens. And these can be traded or sold like any other cryptocurrency. It's like owning a piece of the game world itself.
So you're telling me I can finally make some goddamn money playing video games. My parents always told me I was wasting my life, but now I can finally shove it in their faces.
Well, it's not quite that simple. Blockchain games are still in their early stages, and there are challenges with scalability and mainstream adoption.
Ah, figures.
Remember that CryptoKitties game I mentioned earlier? It caused a major traffic jam on the Ethereum network because so many people were buying, selling, and breeding those digital cats.
Wait, people were spending real money on digital cats. What kind of LSD-fueled fever dream is this? This blockchain thing is even weirder than I thought.
Yeah, it can get pretty strange. And there are concerns about the potential for scams. Like, are these blockchain games actually fun to play? Or are they just a way to hype up some shitty game and cash in on the blockchain craze?
Good point. All right, enough about digital cats.
Yeah.
What other serious applications does blockchain have?
Well, supply chain management is a big one. Blockchain can be used to track the journey of a product, from raw materials to finished goods, improving transparency, accountability, and trust throughout the entire process.
Supply chains. Jesus Christ, that sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry. How the hell do you make supply chains interesting?
I know it doesn't sound sexy, but trust me, this shit has the potential to change the world. Imagine being able to trace the origin of your food, your clothes, your medicine with complete certainty. Blockchain can help us combat counterfeit goods, prevent foodborne illnesses, and ensure that products are ethically sourced. For example, it's being used to track the origins of diamonds, to combat those blood diamonds, and to monitor food safety to prevent those E. coli outbreaks, and also to ensure ethical sourcing in the fashion industry.
Okay, I'll admit, that's actually pretty impressive. So I buy a diamond ring for my girl. I can be sure it wasn't mined by some poor kid in a war-torn country.
Exactly. Blockchain can help create a more ethical and transparent global supply chain.
Damn, this blockchain thing is like a digital Swiss Army knife. It can do it all. What other tricks does it have up its sleeve?
Well, there's also the potential for blockchain to disrupt the domain name system.
Domain names? You mean like .com and .net? How can you mess with something as fundamental as that?
With blockchain, you can create decentralized domain names. These are resistant to censorship and control. This means that websites and online content can't be easily taken down by governments or other powerful entities.
So you're telling me I could set up my own website with a .bullshit domain name and no one could touch it? Now that's what I call freedom of speech.
Well, it's not quite that simple, but the potential for a more decentralized and censorship-resistant internet is definitely there.
All right, this is all pretty mind-blowing, but I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Is there anything that blockchain can't do?
Well, there are still some technical hurdles to overcome. One of the biggest challenges is blockchain interoperability. This means getting different blockchains to talk to each other. Right now, it's like a bunch of isolated islands, each with its own rules and protocols.
Yeah, that sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to send a text message from your iPhone to an Android phone back in the dark ages.
Exactly. But if we can solve the interoperability problem, the possibilities for blockchain become even more limitless. We could have a truly interconnected web of blockchains, where data and value can flow seamlessly between different platforms and applications.
All right, before we go any further down this rabbit hole, we need to address the elephant in the room, the environmental impact of blockchain. I've heard some scary shit about how much energy this technology consumes. What's the deal with that? Are we going to fry the planet just so we can buy digital cats and trade virtual diamonds?
That's a valid concern, and it's something that the blockchain community is actively working to address. The high energy consumption is mainly tied to proof-of-work blockchains, like Bitcoin. This is the process where miners use massive amounts of computing power to solve complex mathematical problems, to validate transactions, and secure the network.
So basically, it's a giant energy-sucking, dick-measuring contest to see who can solve a math problem first. Sounds like a total waste of electricity to me. Could we be using that energy to power homes? Or, I don't know, cure cancer?
You're not wrong. But the good news is that there are more energy-efficient alternatives, like proof-of-stake blockchains. Instead of relying on brute force computing power, proof-of-stake systems choose validators based on how much cryptocurrency they hold. It's a much more sustainable approach. That significantly reduces energy consumption, and many newer blockchains are being built on this model from the ground up.
Okay, that's good to hear. So we're not all doomed to a fiery blockchain-induced apocalypse.
Not necessarily, but it's important to be aware of the environmental impact. and support the development of more sustainable blockchain solutions. This is a conversation that's just getting started.
Yeah.
And we need to keep pushing for innovation and responsibility in this space.
Word.
Yeah. So we've covered cryptocurrencies and smart contracts and even, touched on the implications for global supply chains, but honestly, we're just scratching the surface of what this tech can do.
Yeah, my brain's already half fried just trying to keep up with all this shit. But hit me with some more of that blockchain wisdom. What other crazy shit are people cooking up with this tech?
Well, there's this whole movement brewing to build a decentralized internet, often called Web3.
Web 3. Sounds like some Matrix shit where we're all jacked into a computer and living in a digital dream world.
It's not that far off, actually. Web3 is about using blockchain to create a more open, decentralized, and user-controlled internet, a place where we're not at the mercy of those data-hungry tech giants like Google and Facebook.
So no more targeted ads following me around the internet trying to sell me shit I don't need, and no more algorithms deciding what I see in my newsfeed. Sign me the fuck up.
That's the vision. Web3 is still in its infancy, but there are already tons of exciting projects popping up. We're talking decentralized social media platforms, file storage systems that put you in control, and even web browsers that aren't owned by some faceless corporation.
Hold on, so I could be shit-talking my ex on some decentralized social media platform where they can't censor me, and I could be storing all my embarrassing selfies on a blockchain where no one can snoop on them.
Potentially. Yeah, Web3 is all about putting the power back in the hands of the users, giving us control over our data and our online experience.
All right, that's some next-level shit right there.
Right.
This whole blockchain thing is starting to sound like something out of a cyberpunk novel. But before we go full-on digital anarchists, let's back up a second. What about the security risks? I've heard some horror stories about people getting their crypto wallets hacked and losing their digital fortunes.
Yeah, security is a valid concern. While blockchain itself is incredibly secure, there are still vulnerabilities that hackers and scammers can exploit.
Okay, so what kind of shady shit do we need to watch out for? Are we talking about digital bank robbers or some other type of cyber criminal mastermind?
There are a few things to be aware of. One is the risk of what's called a 51% attack. This is where a single entity manages to gain control of more than half of the network's computing power.
A 51% attack. Sounds like some kind of digital coup d'etat. What the hell would happen if someone managed to pull that off?
They could potentially double spend coins, manipulate transactions, or even halt the entire blockchain. It's not something that happens often, especially on large, decentralized networks like Bitcoin, but it's a risk that's worth considering.
So how the fuck do we prevent these 51% attacks from happening?
It all comes down to decentralization. The more spread out and diverse the network is, the harder it is for any one entity to gain control. That's why those public blockchains with their vast armies of miners are generally considered more secure than private blockchains.
So it's like a digital democracy. The more people involved, the harder it is to rig this system.
Exactly. It's the power of the crowd, but in a digital context.
All right, that makes sense. But what about all those other scams I hear about, like phishing attacks and rug pulls?
Yeah, those are definitely threats you need to be aware of, but they're not specific to... Blockchain phishing attacks are all about tricking people into giving up their private keys or other sensitive information. It's like those emails you get claiming you've won the lottery, but they just want to steal your bank details.
Those are the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And rug pulls are more common in the cryptocurrency world. It's basically a pump and dump scheme where the creators of a new coin artificially inflate the price, get a bunch of suckers to buy in, and then disappear with all the money.
So it's the same old scams, just dressed up in fancy new blockchain clothing.
Pretty much. That's why it's so important to do your research, be skeptical, and never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Words to live by in this wild west of digital finance.
Wow.
All right, we've covered a shitload of ground here, but I'm sure we've only scratched the surface. Before we wrap this up, what else do our listeners need to know about this blockchain revolution?
I think the most important thing to remember is that blockchain is still a relatively new technology. It's evolving rapidly, and there are still a lot of unknowns. Think about the early days of the internet. No one could have predicted how it would transform our lives.
So you're saying we're in the Wild West, days of blockchain, anything could happen, and the only guarantee is that it's going to be a wild ride.
Exactly. We're at the beginning of a new technological era. There will be bumps along the road, but the potential is immense.
Right. You've officially sold me. I'm ready to hop on this blockchain bandwagon and see where it takes me. Where the hell do I even start?
The best way to learn is to just dive in and start experimenting. There are tons of resources available online. You can read articles, watch YouTube videos, even take online courses.
So many choices.
I know, right? And if you're feeling adventurous, you can even try investing in some cryptocurrencies or exploring some of the decentralized applications that are out there.
Right, you heard here first, folks. The future is decentralized, transparent, and powered by this blockchain voodoo. Get on board or get left behind eating dust. I don't know about you, but all this blockchain talk has made me thirsty as hell. We're going to take a quick break to refill our glasses. When we get back, we'll wrap up this epic blockchain saga and leave you with some final thoughts to chew on. Stay tuned, you beautiful bastards. All right, you beautiful bastards, welcome back for the final round of this blockchain beatdown. We've explored the wild world of crypto, dove into the mind-bending realm of smart contracts, and even glimpsed the future of the internet with Web3. But before we unleash you back into the wild, let's wrap this shit up with some parting wisdom.
Well, as we've seen, blockchain is more than just some, tech buzzword. It's a powerful tool that can disrupt industries, empower individuals, and maybe even change the goddamn world.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, from digital cats to decentralized finance. We've covered a lot of ground, but I still have one nagging question. Is this blockchain thing really going to live up to the hype? Or is it all just a bunch of hot air and bullshit?
It's a fair question. There's definitely a lot of hype surrounding blockchain, and not every project is going to succeed. But the underlying technology is sound, and the potential is undeniable.
Okay.
The key takeaway is this. Blockchain isn't going away. It's here to stay, and it's going to continue to evolve and disrupt. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, an investor, or just someone who's curious about the future, you need to pay attention to this shit.
So what's the best way for our listeners to stay ahead of the curve and ride this blockchain wave into the future?
Well, you got to stay informed. Keep learning and don't be afraid to experiment. There are tons of resources available online, from educational websites to YouTube channels to online courses. Dive in, get your hands dirty, and see what all the fuss is about. You might just discover something that blows your goddamn mind.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. The future is decentralized, transparent, and powered by this blockchain voodoo. Get on board or get left behind, because this train is leaving the station, whether you're on it or not. And that's a wrap on another episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for tuning in, you beautiful bastards. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and most importantly, stay thirsty for knowledge. Cheers.